Hello, everyone. Um, I would like to introduce Suman Gautam. He joined a research group in his first semester itself and is very, very hardworking. And so he did his work, excellent work, and he completed everything on time, and now he is ready to defend his thesis. And his work is on optical properties of praseodymium ions in lead boro germanate glasses. So he's going to present it. Suman, floor is yours.
Yeah, is it visible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Yeah, can I start now?
Yes, go ahead, Suman.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Malur, for my introduction. Yeah, I'm going to present today about the study of physical and optical properties of praseodymium ions doped in lead boro-germanate glasses. As he already told me that I am from Nanomaterial Research Group, I am presenting it as a part of my Physics 601 thesis research work done under the supervision of Dr. Malur, along with our thesis committee member, Dr. Babu and Kapali at the Department of Physics, WIU. So this is the outline of my talk. I will start from introduction of the glass, what glass is, what makes glass useful, and so what makes glass useful and how it is helping for the overall development of society and the world. Since my glass is lead boro-germanate glasses topped with rare earth ions, so I will talk about the properties of lead borate glasses, lead germanate glasses, and praseodymium ion doped glasses. I study the physical and optical properties of this glass, so I will talk about all the necessary theory in theory section. I adopted experimental method starting from the sample preparation to the characterization of the glass. So I discuss all the experimental details in experimental arrangement. Then I will talk about the major finding of my glass system and finally conclude my presentation with conclusion. Now let's talk about glass. What is glass? Glass are isotropic material which have same or identical properties in all direction. They are amorphous solid. Any non-crystalline solid in which atoms or molecules are not organized in a definite pattern are called amorphous solid. Amorphous solid are also called as supercooled liquid because they have the tendency to flow, but the flow is very, very less over a large time. Glass can be uniformly doped with high concentration and can be obtained in large homogeneous pieces. It has wide range of application from industry to research. For example, it is one of the key material in healthcare. It is used to protect and store sensitive drugs and medicine. Glass optical fibers are made from glass, so it helps in the development of industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So use of optical fiber in communication from one part of the world to exchange the knowledge helps to improve the quality education. So this is the contribution by the glass. It may enhance the quality education directly or indirectly. The wind turbines are also made from fine glass fiber, so it helps in the generation of clean and renewable energy. Home insulations are also made from fine glass fiber, so it helps in the development of sustainable cities and communities. Glass has been used to preserve food and beverage from very large time, so it is more advantageous over the plastic wastage. So many of these UN global goals are fulfilled by the glass. So I should say today's age is the age of glass. If so, then what makes the glass useful? It is due to the presence of short range order. There is a short range arrangement of molecules over a short distance. So this well-defined short range arrangement is responsible for chemical bonding and holding the solid together. Glass transformation takes place in a certain range. We call it as a glass transformation range. And the temperature in between this range is called glass transition temperature. In order to know the glass transformation behavior, it can be known from the phase diagram representing the glass transformation. This is the phase diagram representing for both crystalline and amorphous solid. When the liquid is cooled below the melting temperature without crystallization, a supercooled liquid is formed. As the temperature is slowed down, the viscosity of the liquid increases. On further cooling down the temperature, the viscosity of the liquid became very high that the structure of liquid is fixed and no longer temperature dependent. So the enthalpy begins to deviate from the equilibrium line, and the region lying between this range where enthalpy is between the equilibrium line and frozen liquid is called glass transition temperature. Then this frozen liquid is now called as glass. But in case of crystalline solid, as the temperature increases, the enthalpy also increases, and at a certain temperature called as a melting temperature, there is an abrupt increase in enthalpy, or there is fast rise in amount of heat. So at constant temperature, we see the amount of heat is increasing. That is governed by the phase change or latent heat. So this is the difference between crystalline and amorphous solid in terms of phase. Now, borate glasses. The most important glasses on the earth are silica glasses. However, glass can be made from other base component like boric acid. Borate glasses has lower melting temperature in comparison with silica glasses. The glass transition temperature, the melting temperature for borate with comparison with silica is shown here. In pure form, borate glasses cannot be used because of low chemical durability and high affinity for water. So it is mixed with other oxides to improve its chemical durability. And hence, borate glasses have good transparency, lower melting point, they are thermally stable, they can achieve the chemical durability and rare earth ion solubility. Borate glasses also formed a superstructural units in the arrangement of BO3 and BO4 structural units, where BO3 is called 3 coordinated boron atoms. It forms a shape of triangular, and BO4 is 4 coordinated boron atoms that forms tetrahedral structure. That system cannot be found in other glass systems. These are the various structural groups that present in borate glasses. They are boroaxial ring, tetraborate group, diborate group, and triborate group. When the alkali oxide concentration increases in the borate glasses, this boroaxial ring decreases and it changes the diborate groups into tetraborate groups. When the alkali oxide concentration is around 30 to 40 mole percentage, maximum concentration in the tetraborate groups takes place. And on further addition of mole percentage, this tetraborate groups changes into diborate groups with the formation of non-bridging oxygen atom. Now, lead borate glasses. These glasses are the most interesting system of glasses because it has dual role in the glass network. In case of low concentration of PVO, it works as a network modifier, and in case of high concentration of PVO, it works as a network modifier former. This is the structural group for PVO4 at around 30 mole percentage that shows a tetrahedral structure. Hence, these lead borate glasses have a large glass forming region, high refractive index, low glass transition temperature, they are thermally stable, they have strong absorption in UV region, and good material, good host to study the effect of host composition on the optical properties of rare earth ions. Now, lead germinated glasses. These lead germinated glasses are the most comprehensively studied system of glasses because of its high refractive index. When lead oxide is added on a germinated glasses, its structural units get changed and several compounds are formed. For example, at 10 to 20 mole percent of PVO, metagerminate of lead is formed. At 20 to 40% of PVO, lead germinate is formed. And around 50 mole percentage of PVO, lead orthogerminate is formed. So this inconsistency in the coordinate state of germanium is called germanate anomaly that can partially be understood while making the glass technology and while learning about the concentration of tetragonal GeO2 in the glass system. This is the variation of IR spectra of the system for lead germate glasses. As the mole percentage of PBO increases from 5 to 30, the intensity of IR band decreases and it slowly shifts toward the lower frequency region. After 30 mole percentage, the intensity begins to increase and moves towards the higher frequency region. So when lead oxide is added on a germate glasses, then the 4 coordinated number of GeO4 is changes into 6 coordinated number of GeO6. That is tetrahedron structure is changes into octahedral structure. So this germate anomaly is very useful in describing the density of my glass system, which I will be discussing in the later slide. Now, rare earth ion doped glasses. Various elements can be doped in the glasses. The process of adding elements is called doping. Rare earth elements belongs to lanthanide groups in a periodic table that has 4F sublevel field. These are paramagnetic elements, and they show their similar chemical properties due to 5s2 and 5p6 subcells. The magnetic properties arises from the electrons in 4F cells, and this rare earth ion doped glasses shows well-defined absorption and fluorescence spectrum because of their 4F electronic transition. In case of rare earth ion like praseodymium ion, these are the excellent luminescent material because of this 4F electronic transition. They exhibit good absorption and fluorescence properties. These glasses are the basis for understanding the radiative properties. Radiative properties are the fundamental properties that helps to give the interaction between electromagnetic waves with matter. And this type of glasses are used in optical fiber, solid state laser, optical amplifier, optoelectronic devices, and color display. Now, the theory. The first is physical properties. Study of these physical properties provide useful information to design the material of specific application. So the various physical parameters that obtained from density measurements will be discussed here. Density is defined as the mass per unit volume, and it is calculated using Archimedes principle with xylene as an immersion liquid. It explains how tightly the ions and ionic groups are packed together in a glass system. Second is molar volume. It relates the distribution of oxygen in the glass structure, and it is given by the equation shown here, where MAV is the average molecular weight. The number of ions per cubic centimeter in the glass is given by the rare earth ion concentration, and it is given by the equation shown here, where the symbol have their usual meanings. Now, polarant radius. The polarants are the quasi-particles like electrons and electron holes. These are the self-trapped electrons that move from one place to another within an atom that helps to without the distortion of lattice, and as a result their conductivity decreases and their effective mass increases. It helps to give the information about the interpretation of optical conductivity, and it is given by the equation shown here, where N is the number of rare earth ion concentration. As the rare earth ion concentration in the glass system increases, the size of polarant decreases. Now, internuclear distance. It measures the extent of attraction between cation and anion, and it is given by the equation shown here that depends on the rare earth ion concentration. The compactness in the glass structure is calculated by using boron-boron distance. The equation for calculating in boron-boron distance is shown here, where VMB is the mole fraction for 1 mole of boron atom, and it is calculated in order to investigate the effect of B2O3 in the glass structure. And here the Bm is called molar volume, and XP is the mole fraction of B2O3. The rigidity of oxide network is given by the packing density, and it is given by the equation shown here, where Bi is called packing factor and Xi is mole fraction. So in our glass system, the packing factor for PBO, GeO2, and B2O3 are taken as a reference from the previous studies, and packing factor for PR2O3 is calculated using this equation. The arrangement of oxygen atom in the glass system is given by oxygen packing density, and it is given by the equation shown here, where O is the number of oxygen atoms. The pulling and pushing force between the charges is given by the field strength, and it depends upon polar and radius. So increase in PRO bond strength produces stronger field strength. Second is optical properties. This is also one of the most fundamental properties that helps to design a material of a specific application. The various optical parameters that are measured from refractive index measurements are molar refractivity, molar polarizability, dielectric constant, and reflection loss. Refractive index is a dimensionless parameter that explains how fast the light travels in a medium. The refractive index of the glass system is calculated using a method called as Brister's angle, and it is given by the equation shown here, where theta v is called Brister's angle or polarizing angle. When unpolarized light is incident on a surface, a part of the light is refracted and a part of the light is reflected. As we go on increasing the angle of incidence, at a certain angle, the part of the reflected light is completely polarized, and that angle is called Brister's angle. So at this condition, the reflected ray and a refracted ray are perpendicular to each other. Hence, the intensity of S component of the light is non-zero, and the intensity of P component of the light decreases, and finally it goes to zero at a certain angle. That angle is called Brister's angle, which is used to calculate the refractive index. Then molar refractivity. It is defined as the total polarizability of the 1 mole of substance, and it is given by the equation shown here, where Bm is the molar volume and En is the refractive index. Molar polarizability is the response of electron distribution toward the nucleus, and it is given by the equation shown here. It depends upon molar refractivity and Avogadro's number. Dielectric constant is defined as the ratio of permittivity in medium to the permittivity in vacuum. So in case of dielectric medium, refractive index is directly proportional to the square root of dielectric constant. The part of the energy that is reflected from the source is given by the reflection loss. It depends upon refractive index and shown in the equation here. Now optical absorption. When the frequency of incoming photons matches with the natural frequency of electron in an atom, then absorption takes place. So when an electron absorbs certain energy, then it gets excited from lower energy state to higher energy state. It cannot remain in that energy state for a long time, so it goes back to the lower energy state by the emission of photon. This spontaneous emission is called fluorescence. The probability per second for absorption is given by the equation here, where Nk is the number of electrons in ground state. Bki is called Einstein coefficient for absorption. W is the spectral energy density. Similarly, the probability per second for spontaneous emission is given by the equation shown here, where Ni is the number of electrons in excited state, and Aik is called Einstein coefficient for spontaneous emission. This is the calculation of AIK is also called as radiative transition probability, and the calculation of AIK is also one of the main objective of my research. I will be discussing in my later slide. Generally, excitation happens when high energy photon interact with atom, and fluorescence happens when low energy photon is released. In case of rare earth ion like praseodymium ion, the optical absorption spectra helps to understand the radiative properties that are the most fundamental properties that gives the interaction between electromagnetic waves with matter. Glass doped with rare earth ion shows sharp peak lines in their absorption spectra, which is due to Fourier of electronic transitions. These electronic transitions are electric dipole, electric quadrupole, and magnetic dipole. But electric dipole dominates the magnetic dipole transition. This is the, in case of optical absorption, electric dipole transition is forbidden, whereas electric quadrupole and magnetic dipole transition is allowed. This is the matrix element for electric dipole transition, where R represents the radius vector of an electron from the origin. psi I and psi k are the electronic wave function for excited state and ground state. In case of rare earth ion like praseodymium ions, which have phi of electronic transition, this psi I and psi k represents the odd parity states. As a result, this represents an odd function and its matrix elements get vanishes. So electric dipole is forbidden. However, electric dipole can also be made allowed by the admixture of the state from configuration of opposite parity. So we can admixture the state of 5d and 6s orbitals. Then hypersensitive transition. Although the phi of electrons are screened by 5s and 5p, the position and intensity of absorption lines due to electric dipole transitions are found to be sensitive to the environment. This transition is called hypersensitive transition. This arises due to inhomogeneity in the host materials and cause the expansion of wave cells, indicating the degree of covalency between rare earth ion and oxygen bond. Now, Zoedoffeld theory and oscillatory strength. Geoff theory is the most fundamental theory that helps to calculate the intensities of wave of electronic transition. And the computational of Geoff theory requires the computational of intensity parameter omega2, omega4, and omega6. Oscillatory strength is a dimensionless parameter, and it measures the strength of transition from ground to excited state. Greater the oscillatory strength shows greater absorption and vice versa. It is calculated by experimentally, it is given by the area under the absorption band. The measured oscillatory strength is calculated using the equation shown here, where m is the mass of electron, c is the speed of light, n is the number density, nu half is called fold width half maximum. The calculated oscillatory strength is given by the equation shown here. This is the term from the contribution to electric dipole, and this is the term from magnetic dipole. Since electric dipole dominates, so we neglect this magnetic dipole here. And the equation for electric dipole transition is shown here. That depends upon the matrix element, where ut is the matrix element. The matrix element is taken as a reference from the previous studies, and set of equations will be formed at around 2, 4, and 6. Then the least square fitting between measured oscillatory strength and calculated oscillatory strength gives the intensity parameter, which is the major objective of my research. Now, modified Geoff theory. Geoff theory successfully works for many of the rare earth ions phi of electronic transition intensities calculation. However, it has limitation with praseodymium ion. There is a large deviation between the calculated and experimental value. In addition, with the intensity parameter omega2 is found to be negative, which doesn't have any significance, and it is opposition with the theoretical calculation. What Geoff theory assumes that the energy gap between 5d and phi of electronic transition is very large, and it assumes that 5d orbitals does not affect the EFF electronic transition intensities. But actually, it is found that 5d orbitals affect the EFF electronic transition intensities, and energy gap is not small, is not large, it is small. So we need to consider the missing of phi and 5d orbitals, and theory need to be modified. That modified theory is called modified Geoff theory. This is the contribution for electric dipole transition for modified Geoff theory. Here omega dash t is the modified intensity parameter. Alpha is an additional parameter. ESJ is the electron for energy for the ground state. ES dash J dash is the energy for excited states, and this is EF dash Y is the energy of praseodymium ion. So this additional term is multiplied with matrix element to get the new intensity parameter or modified intensity parameter. So again, the calculated oscillatory strength is calculated, and we again do the least square fitting between the measured and calculated oscillatory strength to find modified intensity parameters. So intensity parameters are obtained from least square fitting between the measured oscillatory strength and calculated. It is used to analyze the fluorescence spectrum. It is used to calculate radiative transition probability. The three intensity parameter omega2, omega4, and omega6 are the characteristics of rare earth ions, and it is related to the state of phi and 5d electronic wave function. Omega 2 represents the change in symmetry and covalency of rear earth ion. Omega 4 and omega 6 represents the overlap integral. And the ratio of omega 4 over omega 6 gives the spectroscopic factor that indicates the spectroscopic quality of the glass. So using the intensity parameter obtained from the absorption spectra, we can calculate the radiative transition probability. So this is the intensity parameter that is obtained from absorption spectra, and U is the matrix element. So we take this matrix element as a reference from previous studies, and we calculate the radiative transition probability. The total radiative transition probability is calculated by summing all over the radiative transition probability for different transition. Branching ratio is the ratio of radiative transition probability to the total radiative transition probability, and it is given by the equation shown here. It gives the most probable transition during relaxation of excited electron. The radiative lifetime is calculated using the equation shown here, where AT is the total radiative transition probability. Now next is stimulated emission cross-section. Yeah, you guys may wonder about the word called as cross-section, that it may represent some geometrical shape, size, and figure. Actually, the cross-section, the meaning of cross-section here is efficiency. So stimulated emission cross-section gives emission efficiencies. It is used to characterize the laser active medium. The physical mechanism for stimulated emission cross-section is optical amplification. So if we got the large value of stimulated emission cross-section, characterize good laser transition. This is the equation for calculation of stimulated emission cross-section, where A is the radiative transition probability, lambda p is the peak emission wavelength, and delta lambda is the effective wavelength or fold width half maximum. These two parameters are calculated by fitting the fluorescence spectrum in origin with a Gaussian curve. Now chromaticity. It is the objective specification of quality of color. It represents two independent parameters called as hue and saturation. It consists of primary colors red, green, and blue with specific wavelength. It is a triangular representation of hue and saturation in two-dimensional plot. The RGB responses from the fluorescence spectrums are measured, and it is transformed into a CIE tri-stimulus coordinate. CIE is the main international organization that is related with color and color measurement. The RGB responses are transformed into the tri-stimulus coordinate using this equation shown here. Similarly, these tri-stimulus coordinates are transformed into the chromaticity coordinates with the equation shown here. After then, chromaticity coordinates are transformed into the correlated color temperature shown by the equation here, and we can study the chromaticity of the glass system. Now experimental details. The first is sample preparation. This is the sample composition of my glass system. Germanium dioxide and praseodymium oxide is kept constant. Lead oxide and boron oxide is changes from 20 mole percentage to 60 mole percentage. These glass systems are prepared by a technique called as melt quenching technique, and following procedure is adopted. At first, the amount of its reagents are weighed in a weighing machine. Then it is transformed into a furnace for heating that can raise to a temperature of around 1300 degrees Celsius. Once the temperature of the mixture reaches to 950 degrees Celsius, then it is poured into a brass plate and quenched over the other brass plate. So bringing the mixture from a high temperature to suddenly to room temperature generates thermal strain in the glass. So to remove the thermal strain, it is placed in a tubular furnace for annealing that can reach to a temperature of around 1100 degrees Celsius and slowly cool down the glass system to a room temperature. Then glass systems are ready for polishing. It is polished in a lapping machine to give a glass of uniform size and thickness. And the prepared glass sample looks like this. These are the prepared glass sample after polishing for different concentration of PBO. Now the glasses are ready for sample characterization. The first measurement is density measurement. The density is the experimental arrangement for a density measurement is shown here. Density is measured using Archimedes principle with xylene as an immersion liquid. And second measurement is a refractive index measurement. The experimental arrangement is shown here. It consists of laser, 45-degree polarizer, slit, sample, horizontal analyzer, photo detector which is connected to a personal computer. Light from the laser source of around 445 nanometer passes into a 45-degree polarizer. This 45-degree polarizer makes the S and P component intensity same, and light is polarized at 45 degree. That passes through the slit and finally fall on a sample. After that, the light passes through the horizontal analyzer that passes the P component of the light, and the intensity is measured in the computer. The angle of incidence is varied from here. So we measure the intensity of P component with an angle, and we plot the graph in origin and fitted with second order polynomial equation finally to get the angle, Brister's angle, which is used to calculate the refractive index. This is an absorption setup. It consists of light source, monochromator, which used as a wavelength selector, sample placing holder, detector, and a computer. Absorption is measured by an instrument called as Carey 5G UV visible spectrometer that can detect from UV visible to near infrared region with a wavelength from 300 to 2000 nanometer. If I naught is the initial intensity from the monochromator and I is the intensity after absorption from the sample, then optical density is given by log I over I naught. Then optical density with wavelength give the absorption spectrum, and the absorption spectrum looks like this. After then, this absorption spectrum is loaded in the origin and it is fitted with a Gaussian curve to find full width half maximum. So we got the value of full width half maximum by fitting absorption spectrum with Gaussian, and we calculate the major oscillatory strength. And this is the equation for calculating the calculated oscillatory strength using a matrix element from previous studies. And the least square fitting between measured value and calculated value in Mathematica gives the omega parameters. This is the experimental arrangement for fluorescence setup. Light from the light source of around 445 nanometer falls on a sample, then it gets reflected, it passes through the laser filter. There are two converging lenses that converge the rays of light and finally falls on a plane mirror. It gets reflected to the concave spherical mirror that converges the rays of lights and finally falls on a grating that split the light into different wavelength and finally falls on a photomultiplier tube, and a spectrum is observed in a screen. This is the instrument for the measurement of fluorescence I used in the lab, which is called as LEOI 101 modular multifunctional grating spectrometer. And this is the fluorescence spectrum that you observed in a screen. After then, the calculated omega parameters from absorption spectrum are used to calculate the radiative transition probability with a matrix element taken from the reference from the previous studies. And we can calculate total radiative transition probability, then branching ratio, and radiative lifetime. Now to calculate estimated emission cross-section, the fluorescence spectrum is loaded in the origin and it is fitted with Gaussian to find delta lambda effective, full width half maximum. Lambda p is peak emission wavelength that can be measured from the spectrum, and A is the radiative transition probability that we got from the previous calculations. Now results and discussion. First is physical properties. This is the variation of density and molar volume with PVO concentration. The density and molar volume shows the opposite behavior. As PVO concentration increases, density decreases and becomes minimum around 40 mole percentage. This minimum value of density at around 40 mole percentage can be understood on the basis of structural rearrangement happening in my glass system. So at this concentration, 3 coordinated boron atom changes into 4 coordinated boron atoms with a formation of open structure. It can also be understood on the variation of PVO concentration with germinated glasses. So when PVO concentration changes, tetrahedron structure of germanium changes into octahedron. So 4 coordinated number changes into 6 coordinated number. As a result, the volume increases and density decreases. This is the variation of average boron-boron distance with PVO concentration. As we increase the PBO concentration, average boron-boron distance also increases, and it shows a plateau at around 40 mole percentage. This is the variation of internuclear distance and polar and radius and field strength with PBO concentration. As PBO concentration increases, internuclear distance, polar and radius also increases, and it shows maximum at around 40 mole percentage. This is the variation of packing density and oxygen packing density with PBO concentration. As PBO concentration increases, oxygen packing density decreases and shows minimum at around 40 mole percentage. And this variation of packing density and oxygen packing density supports the density result I discussed before. So what we see is that major structural changes happens about 40 mole percent of PBO. So all the physical properties show significant changes in this composition. This is for the optical properties. This is the variation of refractive index with PBO concentration. As the PBO concentration increases, the refractive index also increases. It is due to the increase in highly polarizing ion lead ion in my glass system. This is the plot of reflection loss with PBO concentration. It increases with PBO concentration as shown in the figure. This is the variation of molar refractivity with PBO concentration. As PBO concentration increases, molar refractivity also increases and shows a maximum value at around 40 mole percentage. This is the variation of molar polarizability with PBO concentration. As PBO concentration increases, molar polarizability also increases and shows maximum at around 40 mole percentage. This is the variation of dielectric constant with PBO concentration. It increases with increase in PBO concentration and it shows a plateau at around 40 mole percentage. So all these optical parameters supports the variation of density discussed before, and major structural changes is happening in the glass at 40 mole percentage. So optical properties also show changes at this composition. Now optical absorption. This is the optical absorption for different mole percentage of PBO. From the wavelength region ranges from UV visible to near infrared region. We observed distinct 7 absorption band. Out of 7 absorption band, this 3P2, 3P1, 3P0 and 1D2 lies in visible region, whereas 3 of 4, 3 of 3 and 3 of 2 lies in near infrared region. And out of the 7 absorption band, the bands 3 of 2 and 3P2, these two bands are called hypersensitive transitions. The corresponding energy level diagram for the absorption spectrum in terms of nanometer is shown in the figure. Now hypersensitive transition. This is the plot of peak hypersensitive transition wavelength with PBO concentration. As PBO concentration increases, the peak hypersensitive wavelength decreases. So it is seen that there is blue shift in wavelength. As we increase the PBO concentration from 40 mole percentage, the peak hypersensitive transition increases. So it shows that there is a red shift in wavelength. Hence, peak hypersensitive transition wavelength of hypersensitive band shift towards the longer wavelength. That indicates the degree of covalency of praseodymium with oxygen bond increases with PBO content, which is because of the tightening of the structure of 4 coordinate boron units and PBO units. Here we observe that non-bridging oxygens are formed after 29.5 mole percent and it increases with PBO. In order to know the bonding system of my glass, I calculate the bonding parameter. It is the plot of bonding parameter with PBO concentration. From the figure, it is observed that the bonding parameter is negative for 19.5 and 29.5 mole percentage. That indicates the formation of ionic bond. And the bonding parameter is positive for 39, 49 and 59.5 mole percent of PBO. That indicates the formation of covalent bond. So as we increase the PBO concentration, the bond shifted from ionic to covalent. This is the plot of intensity parameter with PBO concentration. It is observed that as PBO concentration increases, intensity parameter decreases. So the lower value of omega-2 at around 29.5 mole percent of PBO suggests that formation of ionic bonds and lower the degree of asymmetry of rare earth ions. At around 40 mole percentage, we see the fraction of 4 coordinated boron in the form of divalent groups is maximum, indicating the large asymmetry at the PR titanium ion sites. And the highest value of omega-2 is obtained at 59.5 mole% of PbO. It indicates the formation of strong covalent bond and high degree of asymmetry of rare earth ion. So the variation of omega-2 depends on the asymmetry of the crystal field due to surrounding oxygen ions at the praseodymium sites and PRO bond covalency. This is the variation of omega-4 with PbO concentration. We observe that as the PbO concentration increases, omega-4 decreases and becomes minimum at around 49.5 mole% of PbO, and it is maximum at around 59.5 mole% of PbO. This highest value of omega-2 at this composition indicates that the glass matrix is rigid, which confirms the formation of non-bridging oxygen atoms. And this omega-4 parameters explains the different properties like optical basicity, rigidity, and viscosity. This is the plot of intensity parameter omega-6 with PbO concentration. We observe that as PbO concentration increases, this first decreases, becomes minimum, and get increases. So the ratio of omega-4 by omega-6 is found to be 1.709. That indicates the spectroscopic quality of the glass. The value in this range indicates that the high optical quality of our glass has high optical quality that is useful for design optical amplifier. And the variation of omega-4, omega-6, and omega-2 is shown here, which is similar with the previous studies from the previous results. Now, fluorescence measurement. This is the fluorescence spectrum. It is observed that fluorescence spectrum plotted from the wavelength region from 450 to 750 nanometer for different mole% of PbO. We observed 9 different emission bands. Out of 9 distinct emission bands, the emission from 3p0 to 3s4 and 1d2 to 3s4 are significantly intense. These are observed at the blue region and reddish-orange region of the spectrum. This is the plot of energy level diagram with their corresponding wavelength in nanometer shown here. Now, estimated emission cross-section. This is the plot of estimated emission cross-section for 1d2 to 3s4 transition. It is observed that as PbO concentration increases, the estimated emission cross-section decreases, and again it gets increases. The value of estimated emission cross-section varies from 3.36 to 5.63 times 10 to the negative 21 centimeter square. This is the plot of estimated emission cross-section for 3p0 to 3s4 transition. We observe the highest estimated emission cross-section at around 59.5 mole% of PbO. That indicates that the formation of good laser transition. And the estimated emission cross-section for 3p0 to 3s4 varies from 3.33 to 8.37 times negative 10 to the power negative 20 centimeter square. This highest estimated emission cross-section at 59.5 mole% of PbO also indicate the spectroscopic quality of our glass system. This is the comparison of the various spectral parameters for 1d2 to 3s4 and 3p0 to 3s4 transition. From their comparison, it is observed that the branching ratio is highest for 3p0 to 3s4 transition. That suggests that this transition has a best lasing potential. Similarly, gain bandwidth for these two type of transition is shown here, and it is also highest for 3p0 to 3s4 transition. So for high gain and low threshold power, high optical gain parameters are required. This is the optical gain parameters. It is observed that the optical gain parameter is also highest for 3p0 to 3s4 transition. So this highest parameter shows that these systems are suitable candidate for wavelength tuning and mode lock lasers. So the lasers which operated in this way, the laser which operated in this way are called the femtosecond. That puts laser light in the order of femtoseconds. And this type of laser is used in refractive eye surgery for the improvement of refractive state of the eye and to eliminate the dependency of glasses or contact lenses. And this is the plot of chromaticity for different mole% of PbO. The chromaticity coordinates for Many of the glass sample was found in the range of in coordinate 0.58 and 0.36. That signifies that it exactly falls in the reddish region. So our glass system is more suitable for reddish orange light emission under 445 nanometer excitation. Now, in conclusion, major structural changes happens around 40 mole% of PBO. All physical and optical properties show significant changes at this composition. The bonding of our glass system shifted from ionic to covalent. The position of peak wavelength of intense fluorescent band shift toward the longer wavelength side. That indicates the degree of covalency of PRO bond with PBO content. The highest stimulated emission cross sections are calculated for 3P0 to 3S4 that observed in blue region. That suggests the possibility of having laser transition in that region. High gain parameter is also obtained that suggests that this glass system could be used in wavelength tuning and mode locked lasers. These are some of the reference. Now it's the time for acknowledgement. I would like to acknowledge my thesis supervisor, Dr. Malur. Without your support, I will not be able to complete this whole research. I would like to appreciate Dr. Babu. Dr. Babu, I really appreciate you helped me a lot for my corrections and your suggestion and feedback. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Kapali for providing me the LaTeX template to prepare a nice documentation and your encouragement. I would like to acknowledge Ms. Kapali for her encouragement and advice and suggestions. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Arja, your course on computational method. It is the LaTeX, so I'm implementing LaTeX here. Thank you for that course. I would like to acknowledge Dr. Wang for the opportunity to work in your lab this semester. And I'd like to remember one thing. This is the first response I get from the department, first email from the department. It was on around 2018 from Dr. Boli. Thank you, Dr. Boli, for this nice opportunity. I get an opportunity to study here. Thank you, my friend Samsung, for helping me in preparing of sample, and Pradeep for taking the pictures in the lab, and all my friends who directly or indirectly helped me. I would like to thank to Bonnie. I think she might have joined the presentation. I'm not sure. She helped me a lot for my study in Western and for my accommodation in here in US. I would like to remember the Bonnie. And finally, last but not the least, I'd like to remember my parents and my family. Thank you.
So that was a very good presentation, Suman.
Thank
Very,
you, Dr.
very
Kapali.
thorough and detailed. So let's give everybody a chance to unmute themselves and give a nice, good round of applause to Suman. Okay.